Hi everyone, and happy Thursday, and welcome to Team Thursday here on NLF Live. For those of you who didn't meet me a couple of days ago with Joanna, my name is Paul Brennan. I'm one of the attorneys here at the firm, and I'm going to be talking to you briefly today about the topic of what is a robbery versus a theft or burglary, because those terms are often used improperly in pop culture like TV shows and movies, and even amongst family and friends, they might be talking. And so, for example, I often hear people say, oh, when we went away on vacation, our house was robbed. And the short answer is a house can't be robbed. Only people can be robbed. Houses can be burglarized if there are people in them or in the house or not at the home. At the time, it's a burglary, but people are robbed. And so basically the difference between robbery and burglary or other theft crimes can be very significant, both in terms of the whether it's a strike or not a strike and the kind of time that you could do if you're convicted of it. And so I want to start with robbery. What is robbery? And robbery basically is using force to take something, to take property from somebody, right? And so a classic example is somebody sitting on the bus or the train doing their commute. They're on their phone or their iPad or their laptop, and somebody comes along and snatches that laptop. If they actually use force to take it from you, take the laptop, take the phone, right? That's robbery. And the force could be pushing the person, could be significant force, punching the person, right, to distract them and to cause them pain, and then the person takes off with your phone or your laptop. That is a robbery. Force plus taking, right? Taking something from somebody. If it's on your lap, and your hands aren't on it at the moment, you're just kind of looking down at the screen and somebody grabs it and runs away, that's not a robbery because no force was used to take the laptop, right? The only force in that equation is what was necessary to grab the laptop and run. So if you're not actually striking the person, you're just taking it and running, that's theft. Now, it can be a felony, but it's not a strike. As soon as you're talking about force used to take something, that's robbery, that's a strike. Obviously, that's very serious. You could do prison time for that, even if you're on probation, if you're fortunate enough to get probation. But if you violate robbery probation, you could be sent to prison. Either way, again, it's a strike. Now, burglary, I talked a little bit at the beginning about houses. Burglary has two categories. It can be first degree or it can be second degree. And first degree burglary essentially is entering a house, entering a dwelling place, a place where people live or they're staying, and going into that house to commit a felony. And what's interesting about that is, again, pop culture, TV shows, movies, whatever, the common example is bad guys go into the house, steal stuff from the house, jewelry, valuables, and split, right? That's a burglary. You went into a house, you went in there to steal, right? And so when you enter the house and you steal something and you leave, you've committed a first-degree burglary. That is also a strike. Very serious on your record, very serious consequences in terms of potential prison time. But you don't have to steal something. In a weird kind of twist of the law, if you will, in California, if you enter a house with the intent to commit any felony, that's also a burglary. Here's a great example. Person enters the house with another person, they're out kind of wandering around the streets. They want to do a drug deal. They basically get into a house that they think nobody's home, right? It's a vacant house. And they go inside, they do a drug sale, and they leave. That's also a burglary. It's no defense to say, well, I didn't steal anything. You went into the house, or that person went into the house with the intent to commit a felony, in this case, narcotics sales. And so if you're arrested, you're charged with a burglary. Sometimes people talk about breaking and entering, right? Forced entry, you got to break a window, you got to break the lock on the door. You don't. In California, you don't need that kind of force. If the door is unlocked and you let yourself in and you steal something from the house, or you go in there with the intent to commit a felony, that's a burglary. Doesn't matter, again, that there was no breaking and entering. And like I said, first degree burglary, it's a strike. Pretty serious stuff. Second degree burglary, what's that? Well, for starters, it's not a strike. That's going into a commercial establishment, right? Not a home, not a dwelling, not a residence. You go into a store with the intent to steal from the store. That's a second degree burglary, right? You don't need force. You don't even need to actually have taken something. If you entered the property with the intent to take something and you're arrested before you're actually able to leave the property, that's still a second degree burglary. Now, the good news with that is it's not a strike. It's not always even a felony. It's what they call a wobbler. It can be a felony or a misdemeanor based on any number of factors. And so if you're talking about a misdemeanor, significantly less exposure, meaning risk of going to prison. All you can get is jail time or probation. If it is a felony second degree burglary, then you could potentially go to prison or at least county jail. Now, second degree burglary, I forgot to mention, also includes cars, right? That's a classic problem that's going on, at least around here in the Bay Area, is car burglaries, right? Somebody smashes the window of a car, takes some stuff and leaves. That's a second degree burglary. It's not limited just to commercial establishments like stores or businesses. So basically, in summary, if you are taking something from a person and you use force to do it, you push them, you knock them down, you splash, something in their face and then stole their item, that is a robbery because it's force and taking, force plus taking. It's a strike, very serious on your record, very serious chance that you'll do some prison time for that. If you take something from somebody and you don't use force, that's theft from a person. It's not a strike. It doesn't always even have to be a felony. And so, much less consequences. In terms of burglary, there's first degree and second degree. The big distinction, of course, is first degree being a strike because it's a residence. And I didn't mention this earlier, but if somebody's charged with committing a first degree burglary from a home or a residence, if there are people inside the house at the time, that can impact how much time you do in state prison as well. It's still going to be a burglary if nobody's home and you enter the house and steal something or enter the house with an intent to commit a felony. But if somebody is home, even if the person never interacts with the people who are at home, it's, again, going to be a little bit more time, potentially more time in prison if you're convicted of it. And then second degree burglaries, again, cars, businesses, not a strike, not always even a felony, can be a misdemeanor. And so hopefully that very admittedly general overview of robbery and theft and burglary is helpful to you. And thanks so much for your time.